Hey everybody, welcome to our new video series, Juggernaut X. This is going to be the story of the last 10 years of Juggernaut Training Systems, which is kind of like my life story for the last 10 years. So make sure you click that little thumbs up down there, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. So I finished 2011 in this stressful time, in feeling like I needed to stop competing in powerlifting. I have a new employee, one of the co-founders of the company, leaving the day-to-day role there to move back home to North Carolina. So it was a very, very stressful time for me. Now with James coming, because he had this relationship with high-level college football players and guys in the NFL, it came about a very cool opportunity for Juggernaut to do some combine prep for a company called Rep One Sports, NFL agency. So that all got set up, and James got to prepare a great group of guys for the NFL draft. Simultaneous to that, I had been training a little bit more football players. We'd done a lot with jiu-jitsu, we'd done a lot with water polo, swimming, volleyball, but football was still really my passion, training football players, and that's where I'd come from prior to Juggernaut. So during that late 2011, I'd really started to, in parallel to as we prepared for this combine prep stuff, like taking that model and be like, let's do this for high school guys, give them this more all-encompassing experience of physical therapy, mobility type of stuff, along with work on the field for speed and agility, and weight room work to get them ready to go play college football. And fortunate to live in a place here in Orange County with really great high school football and pretty affluent people. So that was a good mix. So I spent a lot of the late 2011 like going to high school football games, kind of creating relationships with these players who I was seeing, all right, they're going to go play in college. So as James began the combine prep stuff in early 2012, I began training this group of about 15 high school football players, all outgoing seniors, to help them prepare for college football, to play college football the next year. And it was great. We had a phenomenal group, 2 players going to SC, 2 to UCLA, 1 to Washington, 1 to Arizona, some smaller school guys as well. And it was just a really fun, competitive group, guys from 6 or 7 different high schools, who some of them had been rivals playing against each other in high school, and now they got to train together, and it just was this great competitive atmosphere, and they had incredible results. We got to train I was with these guys probably 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, from the day after the state championship here, so let's call it January 1, to when they reported to their schools. So middle of June, July 1st. So it was six months and change of really great training with these guys. Some of them are in the NFL now, so that's been awesome to see. And all through this time, I also got to see how James approached creating programs and coaching. And all these books that people say, you got to read Super Training, you got to read Science and Practice of Strength Training, and this Charlie Francis stuff, and Russian translated manuals. People always say to read that stuff, and maybe you do read it, but very, very few people, I think, actually understand it. I had read it, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how to practically apply it. And then I saw James put these things into practice and got to ask him questions every day, and see that so many of the things in there were really intuitive, and while they were written in a complex manner, the results of them seemed fairly simple, and just really accelerate my understanding of sport performance training, but accelerating my understanding of the principles that make successful training for performance, and whether that's performance in football, volleyball, water polo, powerlifting, strongman, jiu-jitsu, whatever. So again, huge thanks to James. He's the biggest influence in my development as a coach that year, learning from him. So as I began 2011, I was not training for powerlifting. I was really not training very much at all, maybe once or twice a week. I think I'd gotten up, I was probably weighing about 325 then, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna lose weight. Got down to like 290, 295 through the first 2.5 months of 2011, and with really no aspirations or inkling in my mind that I was going to return to competing in powerlifting. So one day I saw an ad on Facebook, or a Facebook event for California's Strongest Man, and it was St. Patrick's Day weekend, and it was about a week before that. And I contacted the guy and I was like, hey, can I still sign up for this? I'd never done Strongman before. We had some of the implements. We had like a yoke and some tires and stuff. But I'd never done a log press. I'd really never walked a yoke. But I asked him, I think 7 or 8 days before the competition, hey, can I sign up for this? They let me sign up. So I tried to figure out how to press a log for the next week, and put some videos up and got feedback from people. But show up to California Strongest Man 2012 on what had to be the worst day of weather I may have ever experienced in my life here in Orange County. Cold, super windy, raining really hard. We're competing right at the beach in Huntington Beach, out in the parking lot there, and just freezing my ass off doing these events I'd never done. And did okay. I think I got fifth place, and as shitty of a day as it was a lot of fun. So I decided that day, I was like, all right, Strongman, let's figure it out. Let's do this. And I did another contest about 4 or 5 weeks later, a Giants Live qualifier out in Vegas, put on by Nick Best. And I remember going into about a week out from that, I went up to Ode Haugen's house and got to train Strongman with him, with a young Martin Leixus, now the world's strongest man. And I told Ode, like, I'm doing the Sin City Strongman next weekend. And there was a Giants Live qualifier division and a amateur division. And he said the amateur division, right? And I said, no, the Giants Live qualifier. And I think all he really knew was that I was a guy who showed up to his house to train Strongman that day, and I'd been doing it for a month. And so he's like, no, he's like, oh, you should probably do the amateur one. And I was like, oh, I want to try the harder one. And as the day went, I think he figured out, like, okay, this guy, he's actually really strong, so he can try this. And I was loading Atlas stones, never touched an Atlas stone before that day at Odes, and had a lot of fun. And he gave me some great advice and guidance there. So I went on and did the Sin City Strongman. I think I got 4th there, but that was with like multiple pro strongmen. Missed making the Giants Live by like 2 points. So I was really fired up about Strongman. Did another Platinum Plus NAS show that summer, just missed winning my pro card there. So finally, November 2012, go to Strongman Nationals, Tunica, Mississippi, only the most glamorous places for strength competitions, Harrah's Casino in Tunica, and won Strongman Nationals, two-day contest, earned my pro card there. And similarly to when I released the original Juggernaut method in 2010, I had been working on an updated version to that, Juggernaut Method 2.0, with tweaks to that program, with just reflecting the previous the last 2 years of coaching athletes and my own training experiences. So I had written the whole book, and then I was like, I'm going to release it the day after, 2 days after Strongman Nationals. So if saying to myself, if you don't win, don't even bother releasing this book. It's all been a waste. But I put that pressure on myself again, and luckily I came through with it again. So won Strongman Nationals, released the book. So that was like another exciting new kind of venture forward in doing, pushing the online side of things. Also, simultaneously to this, we continued to struggle to take that next step in the in-person business. We're breaking even, making a little bit of money. It was okay, but it was not, not what I wanted it to be. And all the while I'm seeing like, this book is selling, their online presence is growing. Like I don't have to pay rent to sell the Juggernaut Method ebook. Like I can just write and do that stuff. So I really like training the football guys, but a lot of the other stuff I'm not as passionate about anymore. So in September 2012, our 3-year lease we had signed on this building was up, and I made the decision at that point to move away from doing from having our own facility. And it was a tough decision. It was a decision that hurt my pride, that I felt like, moving out of this place, I'm a failure. I've failed to do what I set out to do and make this great gym. But as tough as it was, and sleepless nights and stuff that came along with it, it ended up opening me up to so much more that we've gotten to do since then. And sort of the crux of the idea that helped me make the decision to move away from renting our own facility was, I realized we're never going to have more than 100, 150 athletes that we train on a weekly or monthly basis here at the physical gym. But I was like, there's thousands of people who have bought this book and who are reading these articles that I'm writing online or making these videos. I said I can help thousands of people or tens of thousands of people by dedicating more of my time and energy to that, rather than just a couple hundred here in person. So it was a really tough decision there in September 2012 to decide to move out of there. Sold a bunch of equipment. Like I said, really big hit to my pride to feel like I'd kind of failed on that side of things. But it was also a time to sort of pivot the goals of Juggernaut, my goals as a coach, and move into a new time for me and a new time for the company. So at that time, I'd also left or been kicked off Elite FTS. Actually, that's not a story I guess I'll tell here. I'll just say it was a divergent views about what the value each side was bringing to the relationship. I'll say that. But at that time, I decided to start. I was like, if I can't have my training logs and my articles aren't going to be there anymore, I got to do something with it. And I might as well not do it by myself on my own website. So I started assembling, Team Juggernaut, a team of athletes in raw powerlifting and weightlifting and strongman and CrossFit, and coaches to keep training logs and to write articles and to begin to build our online presence. So, with September 2012 kind of being the line of demarcation of going from being focused on the physical gym business to being focused on the online business, it was a scary time, but I was like, you're leaving the gym, the physical gym day to day to write and to create content and work. So you better get to work. So, the end of 2012 was Juggernaut Method 2.0, the Cube Method for Strongman, helping those guys develop their books and brands, and just writing like an article a week or an article every other week, and managing other authors and developing what kind of content we wanted to create and what kind of content we wanted to produce for people. So as tough as it was to make that decision, like as soon as it was made, it was like, all right, that chapter is done. The new one is beginning. How are we going to make it go?